very sad, separated from your family.
On our approach, we noticed in shock, oh my God, there's children on the roof of Dondale.
This rooftop protest is the latest chapter in the long and troubled history of youth justice in the Territory.
They were on the roof demonstrating, crying out for help, shouting out that they wanted to stop all the lockdowns, which means that they're basically banged up in their cells 24 hours a day.
The incident earlier this month followed 49 lockdowns at Dondale Youth Detention Centre last year. Now the calls are growing louder to close the centre, something the Labor government promised to do not long after it came to power nearly 8 years ago.
You go in there, the place is filthy. It's cockroach, ants, rubbish everywhere, rusting steel, crumbling concrete. The place needs to be completely demolished. It's an absolute shocker.
I believe that the incarceration of children is the last resort, and what we're doing is actually, for Aboriginal children, is the first resort.
I am broken and I'm just an angry person.
Aaron Nikoloff spent 6 months in Dondale at the age of 12. He served another 4 years in an adult jail for aggravated assault and for his role in a prison riot.
Let's go.
He believes Dondale has done lasting damage to a number of young men.
They just made us more like monsters by locking us in the dark, and we couldn't do nothing. We still have our dark moments, and our boys are struggling now, and we do feel for each other and where we're going to end up.
Now you're putting people in seriously punitive, punishing environments. Don't be surprised when they react the same way.
Dondale opened in 1991. From 2010, there were reports of detainees being held in solitary confinement for long periods and guards using excessive force.
I'll pulverise a little recording, man.
The detention centre moved to a new location in 2014. Its young detainees transferred to a rundown former adult prison. In 2016, it was the subject of a damning expose.
No, don't put it in my mouth, I can't breathe.
These shocking scenes forced a federal intervention.
We will establish, in cooperation with the Northern Territory Government, a Royal Commission to inquire into those events.
It revealed, thankfully, but to no great effect, sadly, it revealed the infamy and the disgraces that were going on within Dondale.
Barrister John Lawrence believes little has changed since the Royal Commission, which cost taxpayers around $70 million. 227 recommendations were made, including closing the detention centre by 2018.
The recommendations here went into the filing cabinet quicker than any of the other recommendations from any of the other Royal Commissions. So it's a complete failure.
My government has worked very hard over 7 years to implement over 85% of those recommendations. We need to make sure that the system we have in place is contemporary, that it fits and meets the needs for the Territory today.
In the years since the Royal Commission handed down its findings, the number of violent crimes by young offenders in the NT has risen dramatically.
You got boys are homeless, now they're just running around. They can sleep in their cars, in stolen cars. And they just wouldn't want to go home because there's no home. Either your mother's a drunk or an alcoholic or dead.
A lot of it's based around poverty, a loss of connection to families. Majority of these children also come out of the child protection system. So it does show that there is no support. It's like a revolving door and the reoffending is quite high.
Less than 6 months out from the next Territory election, the Labor government has commissioned another review of youth justice. The government is building a new youth detention centre in Darwin, which it says will have a therapeutic focus.
We're all looking to reach the same end goal, and that is to have safer communities and children who do commit crimes to be held to account, but also to undergo rehabilitation in a therapeutic environment so that we don't write them off.
After years of delays, the minister says Don Dale will soon be closed.
There's been a number of delays for a number of reasons. We went through COVID. There was a lot of delays that were impacted through a number of industries through COVID-19.
Not surprisingly, the opposition is telling voters it'll be tougher on young offenders.
Just last night here in Darwin, we had kids in stolen cars, barely able to see over the steering wheel. Kids are being picked up, going before youth court and straight back out the door again. The mindset becomes, well, it's okay to do it, I'm not getting in trouble for it.
Shadow Treasurer and former prison boss Bill Yan is a firm believer in one of the country Liberal Party's more controversial policies to bring back spit hoods, which were banned after the Royal Commission.
Why have you made that call?
Well, for anyone that's been and worked in that system, the most horrendous thing is to be spat on and spat in the face, whether it's by a kid or an adult. I've seen spit hoods used firsthand in a correctional environment, and they work. If I got spat on in the face, I have to go and get all the test done for communicable diseases. In those 3 months, I can't be intimate with my wife. I have to be careful about my contact with my children.
You can actually protect the officers easier with visors and all those sort of things than doing something as traumatic and invasive as putting a spit hood on a kid. It's almost rinse and repeat. We keep on going through these cycles.
Sadly, we see bad kids doing bad things, and for community safety, same as our prisons, sometimes we have to put people into either a detention centre or into a custodial facility. We just need to do that.
The country Liberal Party says it may keep Don Dale open to house the Territory's growing number of adult prisoners if it wins the election.
There won't be kids in there. The kids are moving across to the new facility. I think when we're looking at the overcrowding in our prisons and how we may have to quickly address that, there may be the opportunity to use parts of the old facility.
The evidence tells us if people aren't made accountable, they don't change. So there's got to be a level of accountability for people who offend, but there's got to be particular care taken with young offenders, because in the evidence tells us young offenders have the most potential to be rehabilitated.
The only reason governments do this kind of punitive, inappropriate, cruel things to delinquents who are troubled, the only reason they do it isn't to lower the crime rate, isn't to rehabilitate the kids, it's to get the votes. All of it's just going to continue, crime will increase, and the merry-go-round goes around.
They need to shut this down because these boys are not gonna get normal. I'm mad I'm free. My time is done. I hope my brothers can come home too, and do right.